The Tale of Rhy Shen, Chapter 4. 2 Birds and a Stone. A sharp inhale cut the air in the arena as Immo's boots dug into the stone. Tension coiled in his shoulders.
Time to put things back in order. Starting with you, Arrival. You are so crooked in all the wrong ways, you turd.
He never finished the insult. Rhy Shen's hammerhead materialized in a flicker of ghost light and hit him right in the face, once again.
Ugh.
From the crowd, Lumen's panicked voice rang out.
Stop it, Rhy Shen! He's an Aetham soldier rank 4! Rank 4! Don't provoke him!
Rhy Shen tilted his head slightly, as though hearing an odd rumor.
Ranked? In what?
Then Immo moved. His palms and shoulders slammed forward and... boom! A shockwave detonated outward from his core, bending air and cracking ground. Rhy Shen burst apart into drifting ghost shreds. For a heartbeat, there was nothing of him left. Immo's eyes widened as he stared at the void he had brought into being.
Holy, that's not what I intended to do.
All the scholars and even Thos were stunned. Particles that had once united into the entity Rhy Shen now swirled through the air like motes of dust. The small speech bug Rhy Shen had worn clattered to the ground. Thus, after a while, the fragments began to decelerate, suspended, weightless, glowing faintly in the dim light. Then, with a cascade of delicate chimes, they folded back inward. Rhy Shen reformed in one fluid motion, with a faint smirk on his face, his lower body nothing more than a swirling black cloud. He picked up the speech bug and murmured, calm and even.
Is that all, Immo?
Rhy Shen's calm, collected posture carried an unexpected weight, enough to make Immo grit his teeth in frustration. He rolled his shoulders, as though warming up rather than fighting.
See this? Every time I hit you, I spill Aetham from my core.
A spark of orange light leaked from his chest and floated upward like a single ember.
It should be the other way around when you get hit. Ah ha ha! That's how big the gap is between us. You not only have no Aetham to spill, it's even worse. You're sucking it.
The light wavered in the air, like a firefly in a hot summer night. Rhy Shen recognized the aura at once. It was the same energy that had once brought down his entire world, the same chi his people had failed to restore. Other glowing particles from the earlier clash with Immo still drifted through the room, drawn magnetically toward the slender head of Rhy Shen's sledgehammer as it passed.
You've got some nerve, Arrival. Stop siphoning my core Aetham and start concentrating. There's a scientific reason I'm not blasting you to pieces with a single strike of my sword. So don't make me regret it.
Oh, kid. Oh, Rhy Shen.
M spoke up in Rhy Shen's ear.
Immo's right, and you're pathetic. Again. If you keep fiddling with that pinprick of a weapon, this conflict will only escalate. Believe me. It's obvious that your weapon is drawing Aetham from Immo's core, while he doesn't get a single spark from you. Keep defying the rules and logic he relies on, and he will become very, very angry.
Rhy Shen gripped the mysterious hammer and brought it to his shoulder, holding it like a scythe.
Haha, let's try that again, asshole.
The hammer slammed into the ground, and the sweeping strike forced Immo back. Wham!
Both of you, stop! I can't fix you if you break each other apart!
Lumen darted between them and reached for Rhy Shen's hand wrist. He flickered. This time, intentionally. Her hand passed through empty air. Rhy Shen re-solidified his arm behind her with a faint, satisfied smile on his lips. M was impressed.
Clever trick for a dumb fish like you. Even a broken clock is right twice a day,
Immo exhaled, slowly. His voice lowered into a dangerous growl.
All right, enough games.
His core ignited, and his eyes lit up in amber and orange. M shouted something through the speech bug, but the roar drowned him out.
Let's see you walk through this, Arrival.
Immo hurled a giant fireburst, inflicting the whole arena. A column of fire and pressure crashed into Rhy Shen like descending judgment. The arena went white. Lumen shielded her face from the heat, just like the other scholars. When she pulled back her hands, the hall was filled with the hiss of cooling stone. Rhy Shen stood in the center of scorched earth. Smoke drifted from his shoulders. He coughed once. His hair was somewhat disheveled but intact. His eyes were sharper than before. Without saying a word, he stooped and picked up his speech bug again.
Wow, really? Wow.
Alchemist Thos stepped down the stairs from the main elevator that had just stopped in the arena. He clapped his hands in unironic awe and stared at Rhy Shen in disbelief, while his scholars quickly cleared a path in 2 neat rows and lowered their heads respectfully.
Immo Silvers, would you mind doing that again? Don't hesitate. Give him all you got.
Immo flickered with mistrust for a second, but he quickly recovered. With a furrowed brow, he unleashed another burst of fire at the new arrival. Rhy Shen found the blaze more annoying than threatening, and raised his eyes, shielding them as though the low sun burned in his vision. Thos took out pen and paper and wrote something down with shaking fingers.
Fascinating. Apparently, this arrival is untouched by fire. My dear ghost boy Rhy Shen, that is something very rare in the universe. Did you know that?
Rhy Shen shifted his stance, calm and centered.
I had my suspicions about that.
In Rhy Shen's ear, the voice of M groaned dramatically.
There goes our advantage. He's going to use this information, kid. He's absolutely going to use this.
M said it with the sort of innocence that ignored his own exploitation of it the night before.
Oh, as fate would have it, we have some use for someone with this ability here in the Alchemist Guild. We'll come back to that later.
I knew it.
Immo stepped forward with a puffed chest. His eyes were blazing with outrage, and he pointed a judging finger at Rhy Shen.
Oh, the nerve. The absolute nerve! You owe me, Arrival. You cannot possibly be normal. To absorb Atham without losing a single spark, even while under attack? What in the name of the guild are you?
He threw his hands dramatically toward the ceiling, as if appealing to some higher law.
Do you even have an inner core to bind Atham? Or are you really a dead man? I should never have assisted Lumen with this abomination of a weapon. This is how you react to a gift? You're a scammer, a fraud,
His indulgence cut his voice off. Instead of finishing the sentence, he turned an imperious glare toward Rhy Shen.
And it's beyond unfair. Beyond! To pilfer Atham in a mere training bout without even offering a single charm stone in return. Let me guess, you don't have one? Of course not. I have no words for this audacity.
From the crowd, a young scholar darted forward, hurling a polished gem straight at Immo's forehead.
Immo, stop acting like a melodramatic child and let him be. Take one of my charm stones if your dignity demands it.
Other scholars joined and started tossing small charm stones through the air with exaggerated enthusiasm.
Fethel's right. Here, Immo, catch it if your righteousness allows it.
Rhy Shen watched the scene with detached wonderment. These scholars, who didn't even know him, stood up for him like friends, mocking Immo in a way that made even Thos smirk off the record. Immo's veins bulged, hot steam almost rising from his ears. His frown looked sharp enough to split rock, while more and more charmstones piled up at his feet. With a tiger-like snap of her hands, Lumen caught one of the stones mid-air.
My friends, Immo may be righteous, but that doesn't mean he isn't right.
She stepped in front of Immo and turned to Thos.
Tell me, Master Thos, wouldn't it be a good idea to use Rhy Shen's abilities out there? To take care of our little problem?
The scholars gasped, while Thos's eyes widened.
Oh, you mean that problem?
He waved his fingers through the air with a knowing expression, and Lumen nodded. Another gasp rolled through the circle of scholars.
That is a marvelous idea, my dear scholar. We could quite literally kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Ha ha ha.
Lumen faltered for a moment and pressed her fingertips to her temples as if she had to keep something from spilling out. Then her eyes snapped open, filled with resolve.
I'll go with him. He needs supervision at all times, right?
At that, Immo raised his head, concern in his eyes, and drew the sickle from his belt.
Are you sure about that, Lumen?
I think so. He doesn't know how to handle the Juru people if he stumbles into them. But I do. So, I'll accompany him. If you allow it, Master Thos.
The declarative certainty in her voice bothered Thos more than he cared to admit.
Obviously you have already made your decision, Lumen. So, take what you need from the raid equipment and move out.
That was exactly what Lumen wanted to hear. She looked at Rhy Shen with pleasant anticipation.
Oh, Rhy Shen, my friend, you will love it out there. I think you are just the right one for this important assignment.
Deep in the back of Rhy Shen's mind, a bell rang, and something coiled in his stomach like a wrench. He had heard this before, and it had ended in carnage.
Oh, and Lumen, don't forget to wait until night before going up there. We don't know what the savages have in store for us today.
Lumen's eyelid flinched at the word savages, but she nodded. Then she took Rhy Shen's hand with a softness he could almost feel and dragged him out with her. As the doors closed behind them, Thos' eyebrows sank like curtains, shading his eyes with a dog-like expression. He pulled Immo to the side, murmuring as quiet as he could.
I want you to follow them, Immo Silvas. Take a few other scholars with you if you must. Keep your eyes on our arrival. And on Lumen, too.
Rhy Shen followed Lumen down the corridors toward the equipment chamber. On the way, she didn't waste a second on small talk.
So, Rhy Shen, I have never seen someone like you before. Do you remember anything from before the alchemists pulled you out of the sphere? Or has your whole existence so far been nothing more than, a single day?
He didn't know what to think or answer.
The birds sing the rumors from the trees, my friend. They didn't just teleport you here. They pulled you from death, nirvana, the nimbus, whatever you may call it, right?
I suppose so.
Honestly, I'd like to know more about that. You are very interesting, Rhy Shen.
They stepped into a room overflowing with gear, ropes, and weapons. With precise, fluid movements, Lumen swept a few items from the shelves and slipped them into a haversack for light travel. Her shoulders shifted under her thick fur collar with controlled strength, silent proof of how well-trained and capable she truly was. And then she rose onto her toes and leaned over him to reach a strap above his head, fully aware of his eyes on her.
So, what do we do now?
Rhy Shen could only stammer the words.
What we do?
She dropped back onto her heels, her face so close he could feel her breath brush across his cheek.
We wait, and we slumber. Our best chance to handle the little problem outside is to take the advantage of surprise by night.
Her amber eyes flickered to him.
Where is your chamber, Rhy Shen?
He hesitated.
I don't know the way from here. It's in Thas's lab.
Then we go.
Oh, this soft touch of hers. She grabbed his wrist as if it could melt away under pressure, and not being blurred or brushed aside by someone else felt, ooh, so good. Lumen led Rhy Shen into his chamber and set down her pack. The animal fur collar around her neck rested loosely over a striped halter top. Her dry, well-defined muscles looked as if they had been sculpted by cord and sunlight alone. She caught his gaze without hesitation and let her hands fall on his shoulders, guiding him to sit on the table.
Do Juru women look strange to you?
The teasing tone in her voice was undeniable.
Are you one of those Jurus?
Rhy Shen didn't know where to place his eyes, so he just closed them for a moment.
I am. Do you know what makes us so extraordinary?
Oh, Rhy Shen had 1,000 guesses why this woman was extraordinary. Her amber eyes, the hint of naive friendliness, and that feral aura beneath it. Lumen felt like one of those rare, untamed marvels Thos had told him existed in the world. For a fleeting moment, a deep, ancient weariness passed over Lumen's features, as if a shadow of centuries rested on a single breath.
Juru do not die. Not from time, or sickness, or injury.
M rustled in Rhy Shen's cloak.
Ask her about her age, kid.
He could barely contain a chuckle. Rhy Shen questioned what he saw for a moment. Lumen appeared younger than himself. He wouldn't have guessed that there was a wise, old mind behind her youthful smile.
So, how old are you then?
She twirled a long braid around her finger with the ease of a cat troubling a mouse.
I am old enough to remember Teal before the cities rose from stone, before machines breathed life into their streets. Old enough to stop caring about time. You wouldn't understand.
Meh, that's what they always say. It was worth a try.
The people here, they don't seem to like Juru very much.
That comment caused the warm expression from Lumen's face to fade within a second.
People rarely like other people, Rhy Shen. But time reshapes everything. Enemies and friends both fade and return like seasons. Sometimes in new forms. In the end, we always find a way to smooth things over.
M cleared his throat dryly.
Oh, Rhy Shen. Oh, Rhy Shen. Careful. That's an outcast talking. This woman was expelled from her clan. She doesn't seem in the mood to talk about politics, so leave it be.
Lumen uttered a long and tired sigh, heavy with unspoken history. She said nothing further. Instead, her hands glided into the haversack she had packed before, to take out some black cloth.
What do you call home, now that you are here, Rhy Shen? My home isn't far from the guild. It is the melting village. Too hot to be crossed by mortals.
She bent to remove her boots, never breaking eye contact as she straightened her back and neck.
The fortress of the Alchemists Guild was built in a very hot environment, geographically and politically. In fact, my people are the little problem we have outside, you know. They forged a siege wall to block the Charmstone deliveries from the free city of Teal. That is their idea of peaceful protest against the alchemists. Their perseverance is as honorable as it is exhausting. They just won't give up.
Her amber eyes fixed on him from the dark.
We'll tear their little protest wall down tonight.
The friendly lumen of the morning gradually turned into a fierce black cat, and Rhy Shen liked it. She smoothed her suit with her hands before she moved to a small table where an untouched plate of dough balls awaited.
What an indulgence. How kind of those to offer such a treat as your first meal.
She picked one dough nugget up with both hands and bit into it with a fierce, almost predatory intensity.
Haven't you tried them yet?
She asked, chewing already.
I don't eat.
You don't what?
I don't feel hunger.
She studied him with glinting eyes, tilting her head like a creature inspecting a rare insect.
Hunger is not the only reason to eat, my friend.
She split the dough ball in half and placed the other portion before him.
Sit down and enjoy a moment of peace and warmth. That's the point of all this.
He obeyed. Awkward and fumbling, he held the dough, his movements clumsy and frantic. At last, he forced the warm bite in his mouth. Lumen watched him, first sternly, then laughing so hard tears slid down her cheeks.
You look like you're fighting a demon.
Shut up!
For a fleeting, perfect moment, her laughter made his heart thrum in his veins. They shared the meal like friends who didn't have to prove anything to each other. Lumen was right. Nothing could have given them more energy to face a foreign danger in the dark. The sky beyond the window darkened to a deep red over the infinite sands. Lumen wiped her eyes.
Time to go. Are you ready? It will be easy. We'll break down the siege wall in no time. You'll understand once we reach the roof.
Rhy Shen felt a shiver along his spine.
Whenever someone says, "This will be easy," it never is.
Lumen grinned.
Wise boy.
He stood, hesitating.
But are you ready? You said these are your people out there. Doesn't it bother you to strike against...
My own?
She waved it off.
Teal is changing. Strange creatures appeared in the woods. Broken things. Unnatural. Glitching like cracks in glass. They don't belong here. The Juru outside. They are not wrong. They seek to cut the problem at its root, while I decided to support a more practical path. We simply walk different roads now.
She fixed Rhy Shen with a sharp gaze.
Unlike them, I prefer to kill harmful intruders. All of them. That is my way of helping the guild and my people. Even if they don't understand that.
Her next words came playfully, almost gently.
Technically, you're one of those creatures too, Rhy Shen. You also appeared out of nowhere.
Rhy Shen swallowed hard, and this time it wasn't the dough ball.
Don't forget to take your hammer. Let's go!
They rode the elevator Rhy Shen had taken earlier to reach the arena. Then a second cabin that rattled like an old furnace, and finally a narrow third lift on floor 18 that groaned under their weight. Each ascent felt like a step deeper into the unknown for Rhy Shen. When the doors opened, warm air breathed over them, tinged with the scent of long-burned minerals. Lumen stepped out first, her silhouette a sleek shadow in the dim industrial light.
Just a few more steps,
She said, glancing back at him.
Be prepared when we get to the roof. My people might have adapted their tactics after the last breakthrough.
Rhy Shen followed, the floor vibrating faintly under his boots.
So, how are we going to destroy the siege wall outside?
It will explode.
She answered, almost too casually.
What? Explode how?
Lumen stopped. Slowly, deliberately, she reached behind her shoulder and tugged open the flap of her haversack. Her grin was sharp and feral. Apparently, she enjoyed this part of their adventure. With both hands, she pulled out a round, heavy object wrapped in layers of dark cloth and knotted it to Rhy Shen's hammer. Rhy Shen staggered, but Lumen's feral combativeness was too thrilling as she looked him fiercely in the eyes.
We'll bomb them.
Lumen approached a massive, circular lid embedded in the ceiling. With a grunt, she lifted it. The metal screeched in protest, but eventually gave way to reveal the world beyond. Rhy Shen held his breath. The night stretched out in breathtaking scope, and the air trembled with a suffocating weight. To the east, the infinite sands spread endlessly under the moonlight, like a dark sea. To the south, a volcano's molten peak glowed like a fiery sentinel, casting orange flickers across the clouds. In the northwest, the skyline of the free city glittered with high towers and scattered lights, a maze of stone and steel that seemed impossibly far. The transition of the sky was mesmerizing. A moon hung over the land, but it was not the same moon Rhy Shen had seen on his first night in this strange new world. This one was larger, with a soft pink hue, and no atmosphere like the other. Its magical light tinted the world in a faint purple glow. Rhy Shen felt a tingle of awe crawl up his spine, while he imagined all the opportunities awaiting him beneath that sky. Every nerve in his body stirred. Lumen caught his reaction, sharp and knowing. She gave a small, almost imperceptible nod.
You like your new home?
He could only nod. Curiosity awakened inside him like a dormant flame. This was nothing like the scorched earth of his old life. It was an entirely untouched reality for him to shape. He wanted to trace every glimmer of light he saw in the distance and explore every shadow he saw. The building loomed far taller than he had anticipated. Its silhouette curled into the sky like wrought iron filigree. Around the Alchemist Guild, a broad water ditch shimmered in the purple moonlight. Two slim bridges twisted over the water in delicate arcs, almost organic in their design. Rhy Shen felt a strange shiver as he scanned the rock, as if 1,000 eyes were staring back, offering no chance for him to recognize. Every inch of the surrounding environment was stacked with a burning siege line formed of staggered volcanic stones forming black towers. Their surfaces glowed faintly from the heat within.
Attention, my friend. The silence means that they know we're here. Do you see where the western bridge ends? That's where you'll place the bomb. Listen, this is very important. Make sure the bomb doesn't catch any.
Before Lumen could end the sentence, hell broke loose. Thousands of burning Juru arrows exploded from behind the vamped siege and filled the sky, all pointing at the rooftop of the guild. They molted into a smoking cloud of fire that was meant to stop the attackers.
What the? Is this your peaceful protest?
Obviously, the Juru had changed their tactics according to the guild's increasing aggressiveness. For the first time in Rhy Shen's experience, Lumen looked truly frightened.
Rhy Shen, you have to jump!
He froze in shock. Jump where? The wind whipped at his shape, fireballs exploded to the left and right, throwing sparks and heat into his face. Lumen tore the cape from her suit and flung out her arms, unfolding sharp, triangular wings. Then she ran.
Please don't die! Hurrah!
As she shot past him, she shoved him off the guild's wall, counting on the idea that he might need no wings or anything to break the fall. Arrows streaked past like deadly silver threads. Every shot could ignite the explosives on Rhy Shen's back and end the mission. But he stayed resolute, Lumen right beside him. Rhy Shen slammed onto the bridge, but his shadowy body remained in one piece. Instinct took over. He focused, eyes locked on the siege at the far end of the bridge.
Go, Rhy Shen! You can do it!
Lumen yelled as she glided over his head. She twisted in midair, landed gracefully ahead of him, and swung her axe, striking one of the shooters with a thunderous BAM! Rhy Shen ran toward the barricade with surging adrenaline in his veins. Before him, Lumen fought with violent precision, cutting down her own people to clear the way. Steel clanged, shouts rang, and chaos consumed the scene. Then a voice from the black siege towers shouted, deep and commanding.
Strike with Scatha!
Hearing this, Lumen stopped mid-motion in disbelief, and even M's voice in Rhy Shen's ear shrieked.
Scathar. They're actually putting it on the field. Damn! That means this is serious!
The rain of burned arrows stopped, and instead, something darker rose from the siege walls. A single Juru man positioned himself on the top, holding a small torch, the Scathar. Within a blink of an eye, he ignited himself in flames and launched his body from the tower, becoming a living spear of heat. Lumen had no chance to react. The Scathar targeted directly at her and crashed into her with full speed.
No! Lumen!
A tremendous explosion erupted, fire tore through the air, and the world seemed to shatter around them. The smoke at the end of the bridge hadn't even lifted when another flame ignited on the siege walls. Another Scathar, and this one targeted directly at Rhy Shen. M's voice rattled in panic.
The only way out is forward! Run, Rhy Shen! Run!
Rhy Shen flung himself sideways and sprinted toward the siege wall, hammer raised. The air sizzled around him, ash fell like deadly rain.
To hell with it. Even if this is the last thing I'll ever do, I'll do it fucking right.
He swung the hammer and slammed towards the wall with all his strength, but the Scathar was faster. The burning man crashed down from above like a falling god. In a desperate attempt to hold the barricade behind them, the Juru Scathar crashed himself right into Rhy Shen. A massive explosion erupted. Ash clouds swallowed the battlefield in an instant, like the closing jaws of a giant beast. Then, silence. Absolute, deafening silence. Smoke and embers swirled, and the scorched wind carried only the echoes of what had just happened. The Juru protesters had already vanished into the forest before the smoke settled and the moonlight touched the bridge again. Seconds later, the western doors of the guild burst open, and a troop of Atham scholars led by Immo hurried onto the bridge.
Lumen, Rhy Shen, are you okay?
A notably large section of the siege wall was simply gone. Only scorched dust and cracked stone remained on the ground. Rhy Shen had made it. He had torn it down.
Get off me, you fat ass!
Still coughing and swearing, Lumen pushed herself free from the heavy body that had crashed down on top of her. The Skathar's skin was charred and brittle, his hair and clothes burned away, but he too was alive. He rolled over to check on the second Juru assassin, shook him awake, and together they fled the scene into the night.
Oh, thank the stars. I'm so glad you're okay, Lumen. But where is the arrival? Where is Rhy Shen?
Their eyes drifted to the massive breach in the siege wall. Rhy Shen was nowhere in sight. Only his weapon and speech bug remained cold and lifeless in the dust.
Rhy Shen? Rhy Shen!
Once more, he was gone. Immo blinked into the darkness.
That's impossible. What happened? He must have teleported himself or something. Maybe he's gone where he came from.
In the instant his friends stopped looking for him, a faint shadow stretched across the rubble. A movement too deliberate to be random. Silence fell once again. Then a voice, calm, low, and perfectly timed.
Looking for me?
Rhy Shen stepped into view from the dust. Sparks danced around him and ash clung to his cloak. His weapon rested casually across his shoulders, heavy and inevitable, as if it had been there all along. His gaze swept over the shattered wall with cold amusement.
Seems like the way is free.
In that instant, the ghostly boy Rhy Shen was truly untouchable. Unfucking touchable. The Tale of Rhy Shen, Chapter 5. Visions. Rhy Shen stood in the new opening of the siege with his arms crossed, calmer than ever. The inferno had burned his doubts away and left behind a comforting clarity. Behind him, Lumen pulled herself together, quite literally. The Scathar assault had left her with burns along her arms, several cracked ribs, and a dark bruise blooming beneath one eye. She gritted her teeth as blood, bones, and singed skin knit themselves back together, fused with a faint shimmer of Atham. No one around them paid much attention. Footsteps rolled in a steady, almost military rhythm. Chains jingled as charmstones swung from belts and bags. Merchants and mercenaries crossed the shattered bridge with practiced indifference, having waited patiently for the siege wall to be destroyed. Again. The raspy voice of a traveler rang in Rhy Shen's ear as he passed. He gave his companion a sharp elbow nudge.
I told you! The siege would be down by noon!
Trade had resumed the moment passage was possible. These people were clearly used to catastrophe. Some travelers were barely humanoid. It was as though reality had attempted their creation a few times before finally giving up. Rhy Shen could have sworn he saw the same sorcerer woman pass by 3 times. Each iteration slightly different in hair or clothing. Yet all of them shared the same sharp intelligence in their eyes. From the speech bug, M offered some explanatory words.
Greedy creatures. With each wave, more mercenaries crowd in, all peddling their charm stones to the alchemists. Take this as a lesson, Greenhorn. The tiniest promise of reward makes even chaos bow to hierarchy.
M had a point. Each of those cultivators looked capable of taking down all 4 alchemists with a single strike. Nevertheless, they aligned with friendly faces in front of the main doors to offer the charm stones they carried on chains or in bags. Some of them pushed small carriages stacked with metal parts and tools. A few mages relied on their fearsome, uncanny pets to carry their master's cargo. Immo wiped sweat from his brow, clipboard in hand. He desperately tried to sound official, which made ridicule inevitable.
Damage report for the alchemists. The siege wall is mostly destroyed on the northwestern end. Bridge damaged, but intact. Casualties, moderate. And, morale seems okay, if you consider sheer chaos morale.
He looked left and right, one eyebrow raised in disapproval. Eventually, a heroic and spectacularly self-overestimating idea occurred to him, and it showed plainly in his eyes.
The Juru keep bringing up the siege wall after every wave, and this stops now. I need to go to the melting village to negotiate.
Rhy Shen's cocky smirk spoke volumes.
You want to appease them after bombing their siege walls? Good luck with that.
Not that he'd know anything about keeping calm before making a scene. Neither Immo nor Rhy Shen had ever quite mastered the art of speaking before acting. Lumen calmly shook her head, quietly entertained by the situation.
Ugh, my people don't mind a rough discussion. I just doubt that Immo could handle it with enough sovereignty.
She held the pause just long enough to draw a reaction from Immo.
Immo, my friend. What makes you think that the alchemist will let you handle this?
Then she laid her hand around his shoulders to draw him closer.
I heard that Bo Yang has a secret scholar. Someone with an elite soldier rank. Plus, you don't handle stress situations very well. You have demonstrated that a lot. Basically, everyone in the guild would be better for this mission than you.
Except you, And we all know why. At least they didn't expel me from their community, you big mouth.
You're in my heart, Immo, but you're also an idiot. You won't even reach the village as an ordinary mortal.
Immo kept his face straight.
I'll take my chances.
Then I'll come with you.
For a moment, Lumen wondered if she'd ever do anything in her eternal life besides guiding fools through disasters. She rested her gaze on Rhy Shen for a moment and gave a long, irritated, possibly angry sigh. Then M's voice pierced the silence, speaking straight into Rhy Shen's mind.
Say that you'll join them, you dumb fish. This is your chance to leave the building and see the world outside. Isn't that what you dreamed of?
Rhy Shen felt a wave of disgust roll up his spine.
I can't stand Immo's face, and I'm not going to say sorry to those people who shot burning arrows at me 5 fucking minutes ago. Why should I tag along with this bonehead to visit a bunch of dolts I couldn't care less about?
Because misery loves company. The world is bigger than your petty grievances, and this bonehead right next to you, he is your only ticket to seeing it right now. So don't be such a chicken and go.
Out of words, Rhy Shen clenched his fists. M was right. He could almost feel it. Greatness, or perhaps sheer madness, was calling to him. Something monumental, something that demanded he leave this wretched guild tower behind and learn what was out there for him. So, he hurried to catch up to Immo. He didn't even have to say a thing.
We start at dawn.
Lumen shook her head and muttered something about apocalypse-level morons as she turned around to help cleaning up the ruins from the siege. Immo, entirely unconcerned, adjusted his clipboard and marched toward the guild's main entry. Rhy Shen retreated to his chamber to find a moment of peace. The echo of the chaos he caused outside was still ringing in his mind.
So this conflict has been going on for a while, eh?
Stubborn Juru people. They will never give up. It lies in their nature. They cannot see the bigger picture.
Rhy Shen walked down a corridor he could have sworn he had just left. Finding the stairway to the alchemist labs took longer than he expected. The tower's twisting passages seemed determined to confuse him at every turn. It was then that Rhy Shen noticed the strange mechanical noise humming from the walls. Nothing about the sound anchored in anything familiar, despite the permanent squeaks and hums from metal and glass. It sounded as if they were building something as big as the Qilin within this tiny fortress of theirs, like a metallic whale being swaged into a fishbowl.
Stop the suggestive bullshit, old man. I can smell your hypocrisy from here. What are they really building in the guild tower, What do they need all the charm stones and the energy for?
I doubt the true scale of this project can even fit in your imagination, dimwat. It's bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than any of us. And the construction lies in the hands of a handful of brain-dead alchemists with ego issues. Nice, Stop the next elevator at floor 14, and I'll let you peek.
He braced as the elevator shuddered downward toward floor 14. This time, Rhy Shen used a golden handle to unlock the elevator doors and open them smoothly. Another long and curved corridor with 2 rows of doors stretched into the darkness. Only dim light flickered from unsteady wall lamps.
Quick, through the 3rd door on the left, before someone sees you.
Rhy Shen spared no time and slipped inside. The air shifted instantly, heavy with heat and steam. Above him, a shallow water trench ran across a glass floor. The sunlight from above the ground fell through on the glass surface. Freckles of light fractured and danced through the dripping water, spilling a shimmering glow across the cavern like a reflection from the heavens.
Psst! Stay hidden on the gallery. Do not move.
Rhy Shen pressed himself against a steel beam. He tried to blend in and grabbed a construction worker's cap from the walls, but the cap wobbled and slipped through his head to the floor.
Never mind, dumb fish. Look down.
Through the metal grid of the gallery, Rhy Shen's gaze fell on something remarkable.
What the hell is this?
Below, a triangle-shaped construction site sprawled endlessly, impossibly vast.
Quite the trick, eh?
Hundreds of machines moved with vivid precision, dwarfed by shards of metal taller than towers. The polished metal glowed faintly with internal energy, while the ambient clatter of machinery echoed like distant thunder. Rhy Shen's jaw tightened. This monstrosity made of steel and atham reminded him of the Qilin. In its full glory, it would become an unstoppable force.
This is Sun 2, kid. The city upon the clouds.
Wow, it is overwhelming.
M chuckled through the speech bug and took another audible sip from a cup, quietly reveling in Rhy Shen's overwhelm.
You think so? Wait until you see the other arms of the configuration.
Rhy Shen wondered aloud with awe in his voice.
Why do they call it the city upon the clouds?
when it's buried underground?
That question is really beneath me. Think about it long enough, and you might arrive at the answer yourself, Ghost Boy. For now, retreat and rest. You've seen enough for today.
Unseen by the workers piloting the machines below, Rhy Shen slipped away. When Rhy Shen reached his chamber, his thoughts still orbited the impossible shape below. Sun too lingered behind his eyes like an after-image burned into the soul. He reached for another dough ball from the table, just as Lumen had taught him, less out of hunger, more for the warmth of the sensation. It helped. Rhy Shen's body required neither food, nor sleep, nor breath. Nevertheless, he savored the illusion of peace. Much like that, he lay down on his bed not because he needed rest, but because he enjoyed the simple act of resting. Just for one moment.
Rhy Shen, are you awake?
Oh, what in the world?
Rhy Shen?
Grrr. What do you want, Lumen?
She came closer than expected, and surprisingly took his face in both hands. Before she said something strange,
I can see your core.
the words were spoken lightly, almost playfully, yet they pulled something tight inside him. She smiled, the kind of smile that suggested she already knew what would happen next.
Do you want to know what's wrong with you?
Rhy Shen did not mention that he had just wondered the same about her. Lumen touched his face, softly.
Breathe. And let your consciousness wave. Wave.
Her fingers wandered over his neck in a touch of purified presence. He felt it somewhere outside his body, more like a peaceful memory than a physical act. Oh, what a touch. Suddenly, Rhy Shen's vision blurred. The cadence of Lumen's breath thinned and faded, dissolving along with the ambient hum of the guild. Sound collapsed, and distance followed. He fell inward into pure silence, into a place within himself where energy and consciousness were no longer separate concepts, but the same substance seen from different angles. Then, uninvited and unashamed, M disturbed the intimate moment from within.
Have you ever observed your inner core before, dumbfish? Or did they simply skip that technique in your home world?
Rhy Shen had read about the inner core in ancient books, but they'd named it soul. It was the golden center of every living being described in ancient texts, the nucleus of any sapient existence.
I didn't know the inner core could be seen. Not like this.
He leaned into the perception, eager now. Curiosity and impatience drove him forward. He expected a radiant core, golden and steady, forged by years of disciplined training, exactly as the books promised every living being should have. He found nothing of the sort. Instead, there was an inner grave, a silent gravity well where energy bent inward and never returned. Only absolute, calm darkness, a black hole at the heart of himself.
This is what I saw through the Ishi mirror.
Evidently, Rhy Shen was nothing more than that. A spark of black dust absorbing life.
Now you see it for yourself. We could pour all the atom in the world into this pit, and it would vanish as if it never existed. That's why regular cultivation will never work for you.
You mean I could never learn techniques like Emo, Lumen, and the scholars? Never farm Atham like the other travelers?
A tide of disappointment rose with the weight of realization.
Nah, I think you can. But not by the usual ways. You'll have to pay a harder price than anyone else, kid. I'm sorry.
Sorry? A blatant lie. Rhy Shen smelled that. He left his inner core to rot, buried where no light could reach. His eyes opened again, but Lumen was gone. Silence pressed in on the nightly chamber. For all her irritating habits, Lumen's absence unsettled Rhy Shen far more than her presence. Each moment kept stretching unbearably as he strained for any sign of the others, any hint that he was not utterly forsaken. And then, slowly, clarity came. Paying a higher price than everyone else was exactly what he was meant for. Rhy Shen exhaled, a long, steady breath, and instead of recoiling from the darkness, he let it settle into him. When Rhy Shen opened his eyes, Lumen was gone. Yet her burnt scent still clung to the reddish glow of the morning sun. In her place, a new, uninvited guest barged in.
Ah! Bloody hell.
Morning arrival.
Rhy Shen jerked upright on his cot, ready for a fight.
Has no one in this fucked up clown world ever heard of knocking?
Immo ignored his complaints and squared his shoulders like someone terribly important.
I've already logged the incident report and secured clearance for today's mission in the melting village. Very thorough, very professional. You're coming with us to apologize.
You want me to apologize to the Juru? For what, exactly?
For the bomb.
It wasn't my idea to bomb the goddamn siege. I had nothing to do with this bullshit.
Uh-huh, of course. That's why your name is first on the report.
You mean on your report?
In annoyance, Immo lifted his nose.
I do take my report seriously. Besides, the Juru are very punctual about apologies. So, shall we proceed?
Before Rhy Shen could snap another distinctive insult for an answer, his ear rang again from M's distant voice. M couldn't help but comment the discussion.
Oh, kid, how clever you must be to make your own little decisions within a complicated economical conflict in a foreign world after exactly 2 days of existing? I must say, your potential for disaster is admirable.
Meanwhile, Immo's growing impatience was written across the tight muscles of his neck.
Are you coming or what?
The mere sight of Immo's smug face was enough to make Rhy Shen's blood boil.
Fucking shit-headed asshole.
Thus, M felt the need to interrupt, before Rhy Shen's temper could spoil the next chance for his own plans to unfold.
Wait a second before you insult him again, kid. Remember the furnace you have entered in your first night? Ask Immo to bribe the Juru with the fresh charge of Ishi mirrors. Do it now.
Rhy Shen swallowed hard, unable to hide the swirl of confusion in his expression. M said it like a task, as if failing to do so would brand him a failure. He furrowed his brows and whistled.
What about the Ishi mirrors?
Oh, clever. You are learning faster than you seem, Arrival.
Immo folded his arms in a nod of respect.
The idea's not terrible. Ishi mirrors are the most valuable good outside of the guild, and the melting village is the most depleted place in Teal. Ha! The savages would never admit it, but they love this new technological bling-bling. Okay, hear me out.
Suddenly, Immo spoke as if it was his own idea, just as M had expected.
We'll take some Ishi mirrors with us as an offering. I'll ask Thos to hand out the recent charge. Meet you outside in 5 minutes.
Immo, confident in his new role as mission leader, wasted no time ordering another scholar to join the team as a pack mule.
Where is he? Where is he? You!
Naturally, it was poor Fethel, the one who dared to insult him just yesterday.
You owe me, Fethel!
Fuck off, Immo.
Fethel didn't even look up from the blade he was sharpening.
I swear, if you don't want to get on my list, you better join us.
Fine.
When Rhy Shen got to the bridge not more than 4 minutes later, Lumen, Faithel, and Immo already awaited him. Within minutes, the 4 of them descended westward and slipped into the shadows of the Black March forest.
Okay, group, let's see if we can blow any sense into the minds of these savages.
At the words savages, Lumen flinched once more, her eyes slicing toward Immo with a fury that could have killed him. Fortunately, his elite abilities guarded him against the murk. The trees of the Black March forest rose like phalanges of demonic hands. Their warped branches were clawing into each other against the dim morning sky. Ash from the southern volcano drifted down in lazy swirls, coating the group's shoulders and hair in a fine grey powder. Immo led the way, followed by Lumen, Rhy Shen, and Fethel. All of them, except Rhy Shen, were Atham soldiers with a rank higher than 2, each a force to be reckoned with. Rhy Shen, however, felt the forest watching. Juru scouts lingered in the shadows, tracking every footfall. The group slowed, each step measured. The only vivid sound nearby was Immo constantly complaining.
Charming, truly. Every fucking thing in this landscape is resentful. Nice home you have here, Lumen.
Don't be like that, Immo. The forest remembers violence. It has been through a lot.
No one argued. If anyone could read the scars of the land, it was the Juru hunter among them. A low, distant crack echoed through the trees. Wood splintered somewhere ahead. The group froze for a heartbeat, but nothing followed. Only ash settled on their shoulders. Heat grew stronger with every step, forcing Immo and Fethel to catch their breaths from time to time. It didn't take long for Fethel to lag behind.
Come on, Fethel! Pull yourself together.
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
However, he was not trying hard enough for the mission leader. Without warning, Immo brought the back of his hand down on Fethel's head, shoving him forward. Fethel stumbled, tears already brimming in his eyes.
It's so hot.
Oh, my nerves. Enough whining!
Immo shoved him aside.
Never mind, you crybaby. I'll carry all of the Ishi mirrors to the melting village. By myself. Go back to the guild fortress and stop wasting our time.
He yanked the 3 trembling Ishi mirrors from Fethel's grip and hoisted them onto his own back.
Fine. I won't risk my ass for this.
Fethel gave up. Lumen didn't hold him back, but turned sharply to the group leader, Immo.
Don't expect our help after the way you dismissed him, Immo.
Don't worry, I won't. Huh?
Suddenly, Immo stopped, drawing in a slow breath.
Do you smell that?
Ugh. Disgusting.
Immo smoothed his hair coolly despite the heat.
Ha! Maybe for you. For me? It smells like winning.
He lowered his eyelids and followed his nose through the gutter of the dead land. At last, he knelt before a crooked, twisted stem rising from the ash, a flower long past its bloom.
Look at this beauty.
His eyes softened, like those of a mother deer.
Not this again, Immo.
Irritated, Lumen and Rhy Shen watched Immo dig his hands into the gutter, careful not to damage any roots. He lifted the thick root of the plant like a surgeon performing a heart transplant. Then he pulled a crystal bottle from his bag and embedded the root inside.
Ha! Perfection.
You just told Fethel to fuck off because he was too slow, and now you're sitting here gardening. Why don't you use your goddamn sword if you need it?
What? Oh, heavens forbid a man has hobbies, you turd.
Immo sounded almost embarrassed.
They don't grow where I'm from. Not everything in the world is about cruelty, Arrival.
For a moment he said nothing more. Then he exhaled. The sound of a man carrying the memory of a mistake he refused to repeat.
You wouldn't get it. This will keep me from becoming what the sword is good at.
Rhy Shen wasn't sure if he wanted to find out what that meant. The three of them moved on, slower now. Meanwhile, the wind carried the faint scent of smoke and rot.
I heard the local fauna in this region is thoroughly demonic.
Demons are fauna, Immo, but the rift creatures... They're something else entirely.
She pointed northways.
See that strange light above the Juru forest? That's an unmistakable sign of a rift. A glitch in reality. Rift creatures always appear as a byproduct whenever someone tampers with sphere technology. To be honest, the sheer number of them makes me think that Boyang might not be the only one experimenting with it. It is not natural. These creatures misalign the balance in teal. They have no use here.
Everything has a use.
And everything has a price, Immo.
The snap of a branch somewhere in the distance made the group freeze at the spot. None of them spotted anything live in the ash-strewn undergrowth, but the wind carried the faint scent of smoke, rot, and something sharper, something predatory. Lumen slowed. Her eyes constantly tracked the jagged basalt ahead.
This region used to be full of ash fowls.
She frowned.
Small, lizardous demons, but harmless mostly. They lived off the lava streams underneath. You'd see them everywhere.
She gestured around them, to where the steaming cracks in the ground should have been alive with movement.
There aren't any ash fowls anymore.
Before them, the path stretched on in silence.
Something came through, and it ate them. All of them!
Only then did the absence make sense. The group came to a silent halt, every ear tuned to the darkness around them. Rhy Shen pressed his lips together. He wondered, what kind of pest could wipe out an entire species of small demons?
The sapient arrivals from the rifts. The ones that brought those creeping vermin with them. They have a name for what did this. They call them Alps.
Immo outpaced her step and took the lead.
Then Alps die first. Let's hope we see one.
Let's hope we don't.
What the hell was that?
Ha!
Lumen spun around with a raised double axe, and an alp was already latched onto her bag. The leather was shredded by sharp claws. With terrifying precision, the creature scavenged through the interior, ripping apart the supplies and scattering bones, food, and tools.
Not the food!
Beer and sauce sprayed as the alp chewed through the remnants of Lumen's precious supply.
Rhy Shen! Immo! Move now! Brr! When there's one, there's more!
The monster on Lumen's back forced her into a violent struggle, hissing and snapping at her throat with its claws. Every movement of hers was mirrored by the alp. Its unnatural reflexes were a cruel reminder that this was no ordinary beast. Immo, the greatest cultivator in the arena, stood absolutely still. He didn't even touch the sheath of his sword out here.
Oh, these goddamn arrival monsters!
Lumen swung her axe to kill the beast, but it was too close, and she couldn't land a hit. In return, the creature slashed Lumen's throat. Her voice was gone for an instant, but the wound healed quickly. Red aethum light from her inner core gleamed from the cut until it transformed into a smooth line. A moment later, she sucked in air and then screamed,
Rhy Shen! Slam the hammer!
Okay then.
Rhy Shen didn't hesitate. He tried to smash the filthy beast on Lumen's back and missed her head by inches. But to no avail. The alp was still raging, yanking out clumps of Lumen's hair for fun and stuffing them onto its own head in pure mockery. All of a sudden, an arrow struck, shot from an enormous black tree. It hit the alp with brutal precision, leaving no other option for the injured beast but to retreat. Immo tried to get it with another fire blast from his chest, but it slipped away into the grey fog. Lumen turned toward where the arrow had come from.
Oh, thank the spirits! An outer post must be near. They will show us where the village is.
The speech bug in Rhy Shen's ear helped him understand the words, but they still didn't make much sense to him.
You mean where the village is now? It is moving?
Yes, we have 4 official entries on the surface, and the arrow came from one of them.
Immo rolled up the sleeves of his open shirt, heavily sweating but ready to make history.
So there's a good chance that the village is right beneath us. Let's say hello and offer our trade goods.
The three of them pushed through and reached the huge tree where the single arrow had come from. One single fire blast from Immo had cost him all his remaining energy. He could only breathe heavily, and his skin slowly turned more pale than Rhy Shen's.
Just a few steps more, Immo. My people will give us shelter. Maybe they have some water too.
Lumen knew very well that there was no use for water in her home village beneath the ground, but she tried to keep Immo's hopes up to keep him going. The outpost up on the tree was surrounded by a wall of black trunks which were tightly bound together, their peaks sharpened like spears. 3 or 4 Juru heads peeked above the trunks from the center.
Lumen! Not you again!
The lack of welcome hit Lumen like a shockwave, but the Juru people were serious.
My friends, let's be fair. I came all the way to...
Ha! Friends?
She couldn't even finish her sentence.
You might want to fuck off, Lumen. Like, right now.
Another warrior shouted from the right,
Yeah! Go away, Lumen!
and another one yelled,
You have been expelled for a reason!
And that reason was obviously stupid.
Lumen raised her chin and shot back.
We have just been attacked by one of the freaks you are all trying to protect so proudly.
Mumbling came from the dry tree crown, then a hurried rustling. A broad-shouldered Juru man sprang from the tree in a wide arc and hit the ground with a landing that made the earth shudder. He looked at Lumen's fur collar in disgust and snorted.
Don't forget that we just shot one for you 5 minutes ago! So we're not protecting anything! We let things be!
His eyes wandered over to Rhy Shen, without a single muscle of his face moving.
And who the fuck are you?
Rhy Shen's eyes glinted, but he stayed silent. Immo spoke up in his place as an attempt to take control over the situation.
We want to negotiate, please.
The Juru warrior gave him no reaction. His gaze stayed fixed on the strange ghost boy in the back.
Aren't you the sole donkey fucker who just bombed away our siege wall this noon? Our soldiers are still healing. We object negotiations with you!
2 other Juru soldiers landed beside the man, only to underline his authority. Impressed, Immo turned around to Rhy Shen.
Come on, Arrival. Now it's time to apologize for your violence at the siege wall.
Rhy Shen's face darkened. This was embarrassing, for both of them.
They shot fire at us.
Hearing this audacity, the Juru warrior had to slam his fists together to restrain himself from killing the pale stranger on the spot.
We were shooting at the bomb you were directing at us!
He repeated, inwardly fuming.
The bomb!
Shitheads.
The Juru soldier crossed his arms and let a brutal grin spread across his face.
Apologize!
The words clanged through the air, stunning the group for a moment. Breathing heavily, Immo leaned on Rhy Shen's shoulder with urgent impatience.
Say it, Arrival.
Fine. I am sorry for bombing your walls. We are all very sorry, and we apologize with our hearts.
An awkward silence came over the opponent groups. Then the Juru warrior spoke.
We object your excuse! Now go!
The 3 Juru soldiers squared their shoulders, waiting for the outsiders to leave. Another soldier stayed back with his axe drawn, securing the area. For a moment, their heroic mission leader, Immo, didn't know how to proceed. It was Lumen who drew on her knowledge of her people and handled the exchange in a distinctly Juru way. As etiquette demanded, she drew back her fist with deadly momentum and slammed it squarely into her old friend's face. With the grip of her double axe, she jabbed the other 2 old acquaintances square in the ribs, making them cough up blood.
You are such a hypocrite, Kulan! Open the passage down to the village, and we'll talk to the masters ourselves.
Only a moment later, the 3 had already recovered and lined up once more, their faces somehow darker than before.
Ha ha ha! Have you taken a look at your mortal recently?
He pointed a thumb at the wheezing Immo.
He is going to die down there!
Immo is strong.
We had another mortal here a few days ago. If you have anything to do with this nosy bastard from the Ochintis dynasty, you can dismiss yourself right away, or we'll do it for you!
Immo's eyes widened, and at one go, a cold shudder came from Rhy Shen's speech bug, running down his spine. The name Ochintis dynasty meant something to both, Immo and M. In this absurd standoff, only M dared give voice to his thoughts.
Forget Kulan. He is a stubborn and incredibly stupid simp. If another mortal was already here, we have other problems now. It would be wise to go down to the village to find out what this mortal was looking for, and if he found it.
Immo thought the same.
So, how does that sit with you,
He set the Ishi mirrors down from his shoulders and the eyes of the three Juru lit up with greedy anticipation.
Are these?
Yes, beholder-type Ishi mirrors, fresh from the guild's furnace. You could have 3. I bet you're already wondering what you'll see in yours. Huh?
Immo knew this tiny bit of entertainment would prove far too tempting for the bumpkin Juru from the melting village, which was basically the ass end of the world as far as natives like him were concerned.
Holy ground! Let me think. Give us 4 Ishi mirrors, and we'll let you pass.
No.
The mission leader stood his ground.
Come on! We need 4! 1 for each of us! Plus free passage and water for you, mortal! You look like you need some!
Now it's only 2 mirrors.
Immo's confident stance gave away that he was not bluffing.
What? But what if...
2 mirrors. Take it or leave it.
The melting village didn't have the capacity to produce something like that. But sneaking into someone else's story was too tempting for the ever-living Juru. Kulan and his companions exchanged a wary glance.
Fine. 2! Give us 2 mirrors, and you can go!
Immo stayed still, eyes locked. After a tense, long, and awkward pause, he nodded. Minutes later, Rhy Shen, Immo, and Lumen passed through and disappeared into a hole beneath the dry tree.
Let's hope that we don't have to wait for the savage village down there for too long. We negotiate, and then we leave. No other unnecessary discussions or stops, you understand me, Lumen?
Keep calm, Immo.
Even if I get water in time, it's not going to be a cakewalk down there. At least not for me.
There was a reason why there was only one mortal that had ever passed the melting village before them, and Immo and the others were about to find out. The deeper Rhy Shen, Lumen, and Immo went into the tunnel, the slower became Immo's movements. As the only mortal in the group, the heat from the walls was unbearable for him. As soon as the tunnel they followed met open space again, a voice shouted,
Lumen! Not you again! Grrr. It's her. Lumen came back.
Every guardian in the melting village seemed to think the same about Lumen. The message was unmistakable.
It's her!
She was not welcome in her underground hometown.
Grrr! Lumen is here. Send her away!
The news spread over the terraces and balconies in the cave, and it took only seconds for everyone in the melting village to know they were there. Some of the village's homes were carved into sheer rock walls and pillars. Others seemed absurdly suspended on floating islands above the ceaselessly bubbling magma. After a brief wait, the correct path finally drifted past. It was guiding them to a broad stairway on the cave's opposite side. Volcanic heat steamed up on both sides of the path.
Immo, are you okay?
Yes. Totally fine.
Immo sank to one knee. This was his moment to prove himself as a leader. And yet, there he was, kneeling like a complete fool. He gritted his teeth, hauled himself up, and promptly sank back down again, as if the world were enjoying the joke.
I told you, Immo. This is idiocracy. Come on.
Lumen grabbed the Ishi mirrors, draped Immo's arm over her shoulders, and carried him the rest of the way, even up the obsidian black steps leading to the masters. The authority of the melting village awaited them along a long stone table. Each of them was the most powerful cultivator from his clan, Their eyes were as black as the steps leading up to them. Lumen aimed to propose their offering for peace, but the first master stopped her with a raised hand before she could say a word.
We don't speak to certain people here, and they know why. So, who is your speaker?
Immo sagged against Lumen's shoulder, barely conscious, a pitiful heap of ambition and failure. Clearly, he was of no use. M saw a chance in that.
Kid, this is one of those moments where silence costs more than courage. Just saying.
I said, who is your speaker?
Rhy Shen's feet scraped the floor as he stepped forward as the new mission leader. He inclined his head politely, with his arms crossed behind his back.
Ahem. That would be me.
Immo cast Rhy Shen a sidelong glance, still too slumped to make a sound. The masters sat there like stones, unblinking and utterly unamused. Silence stretched, thick and oppressive.
So, as far as I'm concerned,
Rhy Shen stammered to buy himself some time.
you built the siege as some sort of economic protest, right? To stop the Alchemist Guild from doing what, exactly?
Instead of giving the unworthy an answer, the first Juru master leaned forward over the table.
Who is this clown?
The old master next to him urged restraint with a calm gesture of his hand and answered Rhy Shen's question.
We oppose the Guild's method of harnessing Aethum. That is all.
He leaned back in contemplation.
The world provides whatever we require. There is no need to take life for advantage. Mortals won't ever understand.
Slowly, Rhy Shen realized that this world suffered from a familiar problem, the distribution of power, just like his homeworld. As he had learned the hard way, every world possessed only a limited amount of Aethum to distribute, but not this world. Teal stood as a hidden well of living energy, ceaselessly tapped by immortal beings who had never known death. Elsewhere, achieving such immortality required a cultivator to wield Aethum equal to that of a whole planet. Rhy Shen exhaled sharply.
You have big mouths for people who are immortal by nature.
Not a single finger moved along the long stone table. Shadows crept over the masters' faces until Rhy Shen could no longer tell who was speaking.
I don't think you understand who you are addressing, young man.
It sounded like a threat from the masters, but Rhy Shen refused to be intimidated, by all means.
I don't care who I'm talking to. I'm just an arrival. This shouldn't concern me at all. And yet, here we are.
A thin smile flickered from the shadows where the masters sat and listened.
Interesting.
Suddenly, the voice of the Juru master was smooth and polished.
Tell us then, Lumen, if you are so committed to keeping this land clean, so willing to spill blood when necessary, why do you hesitate to kill this one outright?
The entire table seemed to press down on her. Lumen lowered her head, jaw tight, shoulders rigid.
He's different.
Another master spoke up. Rhy Shen could only see his interlaced fingers under the dim light.
Killing by any measure is beneath immortals such as us. It is our duty to let others be.
The weight of the lecture settled heavily into the chamber. Then Lumen lifted her head. Her eyes were sharp, with a menacing glow, much like the eyes of a tiger mid-pounce.
That's why you'll never get to the moon! Fools.
The tension that followed confirmed she had hit a nerve.
Have you even heard of Sun 2? They are building something great over there. With it, we'll finally find out what's beyond the Ago Sea.
A faint glimmer of hope lit her eyes.
We could open new ground after eons of rotting here in Teal. And you? You are only concerned about some crooked Alps.
A faint murmur rippled across the table, like a current moving beneath black glass. One of the masters curled his lip with a cold expression in his eyes.
Pah! That is exactly what the last modernist said when he stood here.
He waved as if he was trying to wipe Lumen from his view. In the same instant, a quiet voice brushed Rhy Shen's ear.
Ask them. Ask if it was Armath Orson.
Rhy Shen tilted his head and considered for a moment. The name meant nothing to him. And why, for fuck's sake, did M even have to ruin every damn moment he was trying to prove himself? Rhy Shen hissed back.
Why don't you ask them yourself about this goddamn Armath Orson? Sounds like a motherfucker anyway.
Immo glanced at Rhy Shen as if he had failed the mission irreversibly.
Where in all the world have you heard that name?
The reaction was immediate. It seemed that the magma chamber froze for a moment. Armath Orson's name hung in the air like a death sentence, fatal and promising all at once. Cold indifference collapsed into a tense, brittle silence.
So?
Aware of the sudden weight his words carried, Rhy Shen pressed on with caution.
Say it. Was Armath Orson here?
The masters exchanged a slow, deliberate glance. One finally answered, voice low and edged with warning.
What do you know of such people, Arrival? Mind your curiosity.
Another master from the right side of the table leaned toward his peers, whispering just loud enough to be heard.
We should ban the mortals from Mizar and Alcor as well.
The others agreed with ease.
Yes, without hesitation. Phew.
Clearly, we cannot afford risks.
Before the guards could shepherd them out, Rhy Shen remembered the Ishi mirrors that Immo had brought.
Wait. We have something for you. This is a gift from the guild, for your entertainment.
His speech bug vibrated from M's laughter.
Nice idea for a dumb fish. Leave them the gifts. These are good door openers nowadays, especially for outcasts like them.
Rhy Shen disguised his ghostly form as good as he could, so he just pointed at the pile of mirrors on Immo's back. Had he been longer in this world, he would have known that high-priced bribes were absolutely useless in the melting village. Nevertheless, the first master stood up and straightened his neck.
Fine. You have heard our decision, Arrival. The sieges will cease. In return, you, and anyone who has ever set foot in the guild, are banned from all Juru settlements, including the twin capital. In fact, all mortals are banned beginning now.
His gaze hardened further.
We do not wish to see your poacher faces in Mizar or Alcor when we get there. Do you understand? Spread the word. And if we ever witness you or anyone else taking a life, beware of our wrath.
M whispered to Rhy Shen with a last, urgent assignment.
Make sure they also get the Ishi mirror you tilted with a hair of yours. We can have a peek into it later.
Rhy Shen didn't question the voice in his ear, and pointed at the Ishi mirrors with all the solemnity of a diplomat.
6 mirrors. They're all yours.
Lumen saw what Rhy Shen shot at, and her fierce grin came back. She knew very well that immortals, like her people, knew the real worth of a little bit excitement. Even the masters couldn't withstand such a clever piece of fun and joy. Nonetheless, Lumen sensed it. The ceasefire they had arranged was nothing more than a straw fire. The Juru from down here would trade the mirrors in Alcor, or use them for their own, and the next siege would start. It was only a matter of time before these conservative Juru would seize the wrong Atham-farming soldier killing monsters. For now, though, silence reigned between the Juru and the guild. Far more troubling was the fact that mortals were searching for something down here, and Lumen knew that it was only a matter of time before the biggest Juru secret was uncovered. Even if she and her people had different mindsets, they had to protect the land and its secrets at all costs. In the twilight of the day, the three guild scholars emerged back from the cave. Immo trailed behind like a half-deflated balloon. His eyes were glowing red, and his skin still had a bluish tone. Rhy Shen couldn't resist poking Immo's sweaty cheeks.
Well done, Immo. You're a real diplomat. Don't forget to write that down in your report.
Shut up, turd.
The Tale of Rhy Shen. Chapter 6. The Better Story.
Hey, kid. Hey, Rhy Shen. Are you asleep,
I don't sleep, Im.
Good for you. What are you thinking about,
Rhy Shen rolled over on his bed and tried to cover his ears with the pillow.
Is this a date or something? Seriously, Em. Leave me alone, man. It's midnight and I just went through an underground hell.
Literal hell. And interpersonal hell, too. Being the center of attention all the time gnawed at him more viciously than any molten fire. But Rhy Shen wisely kept that to himself.
Pull yourself together for a second and listen. Someone's about to interrupt us any second. So, what do you think about your first encounter with the Juru? You might have noticed that eternal life does not come with eternal wisdom.
M's voice rang in Rhy Shen's ears, no matter how well he covered them, so he gave up and tried to relax his muscles.
The Juru from the melting village are exquisitely socially awkward, which makes them easy targets for manipulation.
M didn't say this without a hint of true concern in his voice.
Why are they so concerned about mortals?
Oh, I have my suspicions that they are just concerned about certain individual mortals. And that is not without cause.
Wide awake, Rhy Shen stared at the bare walls of his chamber, where the rippling shimmer of the Argo Sea had not yet returned.
The Juru fear a mortal? You mean the guy who went to the melting village before us, don't you? What did he want there?
He is an elite soldier from the Ochintis dynasty. That is all you need to know, dumb fish. Few people in Teal hold a rank as high as his. More interesting than the incident itself was the reaction of the Juru. You may have noticed they immediately closed entry for all mortals to their twin capital, which is quite the reaction to a single visit, if you ask me.
And what? They ended their protest. That's a win, isn't it?
Oh, your speech bug may have more intelligence than your brain, you stupid foghead. Why would protesters suddenly change their morals without gaining anything if they... Psst. Do you hear that? Someone is coming, and I'd be surprised if it isn't Thos. Listen, kid. The Juru are obviously hiding something, and we have to make sure the alchemists don't find out. Especially not Thos.
In that instant, Someone knocked on the door.
Rhy Shen? Are you awake?
I knew it. Thus is such a predictable buttface. Don't tell him anything the Juru master said, kid.
Warm light from the furnace in the main lab spilled into the chamber and reflected in Rhy Shen's eyes. He sat up in his bed like a dark shadow. His hammer rested against the wall, within reach. Toss drew a chair forward and placed it in front of the bed, lowering himself so he could meet the ghostly arrival eye to eye.
My dear Rhy Shen, I was hoping to find you doing well. How was your first journey outside the guild? You like it here in Teal?
I haven't seen much but dead trees and a rift monster.
Rhy Shen didn't need M's cryptic warnings to notice it. Thos spoke to him as if he was somehow beneath him. Then again, M himself was hardly blameless when it came to talking down to others.
Yeah, I heard about the Alps. Shame you couldn't kill one and bring its atom back in a charm stone. Imo Silvas has already submitted a detailed report, but it appears he remembers very little of what happened down in the melting village. I was hoping you could fill in the gaps.
Tos rhythmically tapped his pencil against his notepad, thinking. It seemed M had been right about Thos. This alchemist was so arrogant, he didn't even bother hiding that he meant to use Rhy Shen.
Why don't you ask Lumen about the negotiations? Or at least someone who gives a shit. I have nothing to do with the damn Juru or anyone here.
Good question, kid. Maybe you're not a completely lost cause after all. Now, watch him lie.
The pencil kept tapping against the notepad, faster now. For a heartbeat, Rhy Shen wondered whether Thos could somehow hear M inside his head. Then the alchemist spoke.
Lumen may be a libertine, but she's still Juru. I doubt she'd share anything useful, even if she knew something at all. But you are different, aren't you? Where do you stand in this world, ghost boy?
He made a pause to scrutinize Rhy Shen once more. Then he changed his tone abruptly.
Never mind. I'll be direct and honest with you.
Bullshit.
M groaned quietly in Rhy Shen's ear while Thos leaned closer. His voice remained calm and dry, yet carried an unmistakable authority.
Tell me, ghost boy, have you heard of the Aeon Fire since your arrival?
A heavy hush unfurled between them. Rhy Shen felt the very air in the room recoil at the word.
Oh shit, Rhy Shen. Holy shitty hell. They already know about the Aeon Fire. That's bad, kid. Very bad.
Thos laid the pencil down and turned his right hand, palm facing up. The jeweled gauntlet across his hand shimmered, and a small flame bloomed over the red gem embedded in his palm. His eyes disappeared behind the bright reflection on his glasses.
Since you have a special connection to this fascinating element, I thought you should know about the Monarch of Flames. It is simply a fairy tale. The tale of a living flame with its own soul, inextinguishable and too wild to be tamed by a master. Very nice story.
Through lowered eyelids, Rhy Shen stared at the flame in Thos's hand.
Why are you telling me this story in the middle of the night, old man?
Well...
Tos clenched a fist and extinguished the flame on his palm. His eyes came back from the shadows, glaring at Rhy Shen.
I, personally, think a good story is made of a true core with some untrue elements. Would you agree,
Rhy Shen could only nod with a slight frown on his face.
I guess so.
Aha! It's not too far-fetched to imagine a fire with a soul. But there's one thing about that story that's nagged at me since I first heard it. Over 55 years ago. Listen closely. In this universe, there's nothing that can't be tamed. Now, suppose such an eternally burning flame did exist at some point in the past, right here on this peninsula. It would have found a master sooner or later. Someone who knew how to lock it up and sap from its power. Tell me, does that version sound more believable than the old Juru tale to you? I wonder if the Juru simply chose the better story to tell.
Rhy Shen's mind raced until his thoughts collided and fractured. He could feel the idea coming before Thos even spoke it aloud. A sharp stone settled in the pit of his stomach as realization clicked into place. The undying Juru could have sealed such a natural source of atom energy for their own benefit.
You mean there is an Aeon fire? But the tale of the wild, free, and happy flame is just a tale.
Exactly.
Thos's lips curved, approving but calm.
Very perceptive arrival. And more than that, I suspect their source is endless, like the sun itself. That is the foundation from which the immortals cultivate, and why they never grant us the endless power they enjoy for themselves. As soon as we launch Sun 2, we'll be equal with them anyway.
The air between them thickened, charged with unspoken warnings. M's voice cut through, sharp and cold.
Don't be fooled, kid. He will lead you where you're not ready to go.
Thos came even closer to Rhy Shen's face and wiped through it with his fingers, causing Rhy Shen's mimic to blur. Once more.
You are dissolving more intensely every day. Probably you are too unstable to survive the next few weeks.
When Rhy Shen pulled himself back together, his face was drawn tight with a fury that seemed ready to break loose. He swore to himself that if Thos would do that just once more, he'd smash his head with his Juru hammer.
Anyway, the masters down in the melting village, do you think they liked you?
Not so much.
That hurts, doesn't it? Have you asked yourself if you are immortal too, Ghost Boy? I would like to know, to be honest. Because if you are, it will be much easier for you to gain trust over the immortals. Oh, as we speak of it, what did they want in exchange for ending their sieges exactly? I suppose you couldn't convince them of modern atom farming.
This question was dangerous to answer. Rhy Shen sensed it even without a hint from M. He took a deep breath that stretched the silence.
I didn't promise them anything, if you mean that.
Thos leaned back slightly with narrowing eyes behind his glasses.
Good. Evasive. Clever. Your silence tells me far more than your answers ever would. A friend of yours has already whispered about the ban on mortals in the sacred cities Mizar and Alcor. And that, Ghost Boy, is exactly where you need to go. There, if anywhere, you will learn whether the Aeon Fire truly exists. And if it does, I suspect it is bound to your blessed little condition. Neither dead nor alive. If that's true,
he smiled, thin,
then you will bring it here.
The new task landed on Rhy Shen like the desert heat at noon. Relentless and impossible to escape. M exploded in his ear.
No! Say no, kid.
His secret master seriously threatened him through the speech bug.
I swear, if you agree to this moronic, dead-ass plan, I will follow you around and find a way to beat your ghost butt for all eternity.
Rhy Shen stared at Thos. The alchemist's eyes were calm and confident, as if everything that mattered had already been decided.
All right. I'll go where you want.
N let out a strangled sound, somewhere between a scream and a sob.
Oh, you brain-rotted idiot. You walking disaster. I can't wrap my head around what a hopeless loser you are. Because if you had a single functioning brain cell left, you would have listened to me, kid.
Thos rose smoothly from the chair, satisfied. As he gave the next directives, M was still raging in Rhy Shen's ear.
Excellent.
You half-witted, loathsome clown.
I'll make the preparations.
Execrable fool. Always running to help those fumbling alchemists.
Ghost Boy, you'll leave for the twin capital at dawn. Immo Silvas and a group of scholars are going to await you at the bridge when the sun rises over the Ago Sea in the
Must
east.
have left your common sense.
They'll have
in the
further
pit you
instructions
came
on
from.
how to proceed once you're in Mizar. Toodaloo, Ghost Boy. Try not to get lost.
The door of the chamber closed behind Thos and left Rhy Shen in the dark. Only M's never-ending insults in his ear kept him company.
Odious. Deplorable. You are an opportunistic piece of dung, Rhy Shen.
From his vantage point, M couldn't see Rhy Shen taking the hammer from the wall, or perhaps he was simply too furious to notice.
Yeah, maybe. Now please shut up, M. I'm trying to concentrate here.
Shit-brained.
All at once, M's rain of insults stopped. His irritation was almost audible in the silence.
Concentrate on what? You don't look very concentrated.
M had no time to finish his chatter. Rhy Shen had already blown a gaping hole into the front window of his chamber and leapt through the shards without a grain of fear.
I'm done with this shithole of a guild!
A moment later, he disappeared into the desert night.
Splendid. More vandalism. I should have seen that one coming.